Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Sarah Jane, and here is her story. I feel so validated and understood when I came upon your YouTube videos. For one, someone who can see what I've seen and feel what I felt. Someone else who is angered at evil treatment and tortured placed on upon children by those who are supposed to love them the most. I thank God for you and what you do. My maternal grandmother was a physically abusive drunk who broke with her 9 kids. One of her kids killed his brother because he took his jeans and weed. A lot of my aunts and uncles and cousins have mental problems, chemical imbalances, emotional issues, bipolar, schizophrenia, etc., and suffer from alcohol and drug addictions. My maternal grandmother had 7 kids with 3 different fathers, the last one while she was still married with another family. She was left single and raised her kids on welfare. She was a hoarder and very verbally abusive. She was the meanest person I have ever met. Her words cut like knives. She passed that on to my mother, and unfortunately, I have to admit I'm trying to teach myself not to be like that as well. But like you once said, I fight the way my mother fights, but I do it out of self-defense. Anyway, she was abusive to my mom. She used to drug my mother to get her to behave. She wanted to put my mother into shock therapy. She abused prescription drugs until she died. So does her son and daughter and my mother. Her other daughter grew up to be a stripper. She's 50 and still strips. God. My family are super opposed to Christianity. They say that my grandmother was abusive with religion. There's layers and layers of abuse that's been passed down for generations. My mother ran away when she was 16 and joined the carnival and got with my biological father. Joined the carnival. The narcissist will turn you into a carny, huh? He used to beat her, so she left him. Then got with my stepdad when I was a year old. He also hit her. It's really hard to say this, but I love my stepdad so much, even though he hit her. That's really confusing for me, but it's a true statement. Well, if your mother was abusing you, a lot of times you'd like to see her get what she has coming to her. When you've been berated, and regardless of whether it's your grandmother's doing or not, your mother at that point is probably your primary abuser. And being she's the one who birthed you, okay? A lot of people feel guilt when they see their abuser abused. Um, I'm in the minority, and you probably are as well. As no, 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 you want to see justice, no guilt. She was very manipulative and loved to push his buttons, so they were both active parents in this dynamic. My parents collected welfare and worked in the carnival. I never met my father, but I was told he lost himself after coming back from war and was a very violent man. More violent than the 2 that were already beating her? My mom witnessed him kill someone. Okay, maybe. My mom would always say I was mean like him, and that's what they do. Whether it be through a divorce or something like this, they'll always compare you to the other parent who's not around to defend themselves. Okay, I'm taking you at your word that that he killed someone, but again, this is your mom's story. Are you sure they're true? Now I know you sent me some articles. I'm just not sure who they're about. My mom witnessed him kill someone. My mom would always say I was mean like him, but I know she did it just to hurt me and manipulate me. So I would do whatever she asked. For a long time, it worked. Anyway, my father was a drunk and died of sepsis because he would still drink even though he had cirrhosis, and he also had hepatitis. My dad had an alcoholic and violent father as well. He was the second youngest of 8. He was sent to work with a man and his mother who I call my uncle and grandma. They raised my parents. He went to work when he was 9 years old because his mother couldn't handle him. My mom met him in the carnival. We lived at my uncle's ranch in our trailer at this time. I was probably 5 or 6. My dad got a shotgun and was going to shoot my mom. My grandma stood in front of the rifle and said, "You don't want to do this." I only remember part of this. He obviously didn't shoot her. I think I dissociated because I don't want to remember all the details, and I just remember this part like a movie scene. When I was asked why this happened, my mom said it was because she hung her bra out to dry on the line, and my dad thought she was trying to get attention from the ride boys. People who worked in the carnival rides also lived at the ranch. So even in the carnival, there's a hierarchy. Stay away from them ride boys. My dad was really good to us. He never beat us. We got spankings, but he was nice and fair, very loving and affectionate. He had a lot of friends. All my cousins said he was their favorite uncle. He got along with everyone. He was always laughing and had a good heart, which was why it was hard to think he could beat up my mom. My mom said he fell in love with me before her. I think she was jealous of how good he was to me. She was. She often used our relationship to make my sister and brother not like me, but he loved us all. They would tease me when I was little that he wasn't my dad. Mom told my dad about it because I was crying, and he sat me down on his lap and told me even though I wasn't his kid by blood, he loved me like I was. Then my mom said even more and repeated, and then my mom said even more, and he repeated her even more. I think she used this instance to pit my sister and brother against me. I never wanted preferential treatment. I just wanted my sister and brother to like me. After we moved out of the ranch and into an apartment, my mom would fight with my dad and take me and leave him. And he would take my sister and brother, 3 and 4 years younger than I. I asked her how come he didn't take me, and she said because he was afraid she would call the cops on him and accuse him of kidnapping. I remember going to a battered women's shelter, then staying with this family my mom somehow knew. My dad showed up and asked her to come home and that he promised he would change. I told her, "Don't go, Mom, he's lying. He told me to shut the fuck up." She went back. This is what confuses me too. I took my mom's side because I believed he beat her and she was innocent and I didn't want her to get hurt, but I love my dad too. At the time, I believed my dad was the bad guy, but now I feel totally the opposite. One Christmas, I woke up to screaming and yelling and knew my parents were fighting and went in there to break them up like usual, and my mom was laying bloody on the presents. I said, "What happened to you?" She said, "Ask your dad." My dad said she fell. He was sitting in this chair rolling a joint with an annoyed look on his face, but totally calm and unfazed. I tried to help my mom up, and she said frantically, "He's on crack cocaine." She was obviously drunk or high. My dad seemed sober and clean, unless he's rolling a joint, but usually don't go from crack to a joint. Now I think back and wonder if it was him or her who was addicted. Remember, the narcissist always projects what they are. Always. A couple months later, on March 4th, 1994, my dad came home and was pissed, throwing dishes in the sink, yelling. My mom was sober this time. She even said so. She said, "I told him to leave to cool off because I haven't been drinking. I told him I was going to call the cops if he didn't leave." Next thing I remember is he went after her and I tried to intervene. I'm only 11. He was coming for her, so I threw a chair at him. It didn't go very far because I'm not very strong. He looked at me shocked. I told him, "Please leave and then come back after you're calm," because that's what my mom was saying. He said, "You want me to go? I'm your dad." I said, "My dad wouldn't hit my mom." He said, "Fine, you want me to go? I'll go and I'm not coming back." And he left. Later that night, my uncle from the ranch came over and said he was sent to watch us because our parents had to do some things. In the morning, I woke up seeing my mom on the phone. It was clear by her face she hadn't slept and had been crying all night. She sat us down at the table and told us that our dad was gone. Her story was that he was pissed about getting cheated out of some drugs last night, and he went back to confront them, and he was shot and crawled towards a gas station. He died. I guess that's what you sent me. He was killed over drugs. His sister-in-law told me that my mom drove him to his death. I hated her for that comment, but now I'm starting to wonder if there was some truth to it. The last words I said to Dad was leave. My dad wouldn't hit my mom. This tortured me for years. I told him to leave. I threw a chair at him and he died that night. It wasn't your fault. He said he wasn't coming back. This is like a bad movie. I can't blame my mom for this. If there was any humanity in her before this, I'm sure the guilt of this move probably killed it. It practically took me out. The only reason this didn't destroy me is because I trust in God. I know my dad loved me, and I know he would forgive me given the chance. I cling to the hope I'll see him in heaven. This is not your fault. This is your 11. After my dad died, his family and my mom fought over my dad's guns and money and vehicles, the stupid things people fight over. We were on welfare. We didn't have much. She said his brother tried to have sex with her at the funeral. I believe her, but I don't anymore. She said something like this before at a store by the amusement park we worked at and almost got this ride boy killed because she told all these strangers he tried to have sex with me. I don't think he did. I told her at the time that I don't know what she's talking about. She was drunk. It was another ride boy who had me kiss him on the cheek. I remember she saw this and exaggerated it. I was 6, I think. Anyway, she had a history of thinking everyone wanted to sleep with her. This causes a lot of drama because your mother's a borderline and needs everybody to want to sleep with her. Beginning to see how you might think she got him killed, though. Who knows what lies she might have told him to get him over there or what was actually going on. Because you don't know. You don't. The problem with being raised by borderlines is you never really know what the fucking truth is. Because the truth is usually centered around them trying to get dick and attention at all costs. And every lie is to protect that. You never will really know what the real motivating truth is behind anything they do. Because they tell so many lies, they can't keep track of them. This caused a lot of drama. She was drunk every day. I could do nothing to console her. Her mom sent for us because we were going to be taken away by the state for missing so much school. So we moved to grandma's state and we were split up. My brother went with my mom's sister and I went with my mom's grandma, and my sister went with my mom's mom. I have no idea the drama my sister went through with my mom. I know my grandma was very mean to my sister. I was told my mom was in rehab and I should write her a letter, so I did. Later I found out she never went to rehab. I guess this was just a lie. This is the problem. They lie and they lie about lies, and then their enablers lie for them and back up their lies. This is the first lie I found out. This is where the mask started to slip. Anyway, eventually we moved into a duplex and my mom again started drinking. We went camping with the neighbors who were a nice Christian family. They were really normal. I loved being around them. When we came back home, 2 houses down, my mom wasn't there. I don't remember how long I waited, if it was a day or two, but I went back to the neighbors and told them my mom wasn't there. We eventually called the cops and told them I couldn't find my mom. My grandma came. My mom was in another state, the state we had moved from. She had left a note. She said she left a note. No note. She said she left her brother in charge. He has mental problems and is always on booze and drugs. He can't take care of himself, much less his 3 kids. What did she go back to her old state for? Dick and attention, I'm sure. All lies with the borderline are for dick and attention. All lies are for dick and attention. I was very mad about this and told the cops just that. I told them I wanted to be adopted by this family. I was like 12 years old. I told them my mom is not a good mom. They sent us with my grandma and gave her a neglect charge. She blames me to this day that she couldn't work in human resources or with children because of this charge on her file. Why would she want to work in human services or with children when she didn't want her own? It's unreal, the fantasy land they believe in, the entitlement they have, that a borderline like this, with drug and alcohol problems, who abandoned 3 children, would then turn around and think they should have a job working with children in human services. This is why these people need to be institutionalized. These are why you need to reopen the mental facilities, because people like your mom would have been in there probably since her teens. She blames me to this day that she couldn't work in human services or with children because of this charge on her file, because it's my fault she abandoned her kids, right? Yeah, right, exactly. My sister and brother always hated me. I can't say I blame them. My mom trained me to taunt them and compared them to me. I was happy to take the attention. I sure as hell felt like I earned it. I was the golden child who did whatever mom wanted. I was the family maid, cleaning bathrooms, dishes, the tattletale, the babysitter, the straight A student, but my mom was only proud of me when someone else was around. I always had anger issues. My mom forgot me one day at school. I sat waiting all day. I tried to call collect 5 times, but she was on dial-up internet. After it got dark, my teacher saw me still sitting on the curb and took me home. I told my mom. She apologized but didn't give a shit. She said to stop making a big deal out of it, that I was over-exaggerating. What was she doing on the internet? Looking for dick and attention. Looking for dick and attention, because that's what the borderline does. I was so embarrassed with my teacher. How could my mom forget about me for the whole evening, not even wonder where I was? Because when they're in dick and attention mode, when they're in the hunt, yeah, they're like a cat fixated on prey. They don't see anything. They don't hear anything. You ever see a cat hunting something when they're in the mode? They're real easy to sneak up behind because they're fixated on one thing, and that's your mother. Fixated on dick and attention, drugs and booze. She was always stuck in her own world on the computer. Yeah, exactly, on the computer. I was so mad I slammed my bedroom door, blared my music, and screamed and cried. I hated her. My whole life I hated her. I still wanted love from her, but I hated her. I cannot understand how I could feel those 2 ways at the same time. She said I had anger issues. Yeah, no shit. She said that she knew she ruined me for life. Same with my mother. They know they do it, but they do it anyway. They think sometimes if they acknowledge it, that's okay, but they never apologize, do they? She wanted me to feel sorry for her feeling bad about my issues. Every problem I ever had to become a reason for her to get attention. I could never get any kind of empathy. She had to have it all, even when it wasn't about her, it was about her. I cried so hard that night I made myself sick. I said, that's it. I'm done crying. I have no more tears. For now, only anger. When I tried to commit suicide at 13, they told me I didn't belong in the suicide psychiatric ward. The psychiatrist said I needed anger management and put me on Zoloft. I stopped taking it because it made me feel weird. I wasn't depressed. I was coping with neglect and abuse. I always locked myself in my room and listened to my music and often hid and cried in my closet. I had very few friends, 3 close friends through all middle school and high school and college. I always felt very lonely and weird and rejected. I got so sick of the fighting, I now know it was triangulation. I would always get ganged up on and picked on. I am very empathetic. I'm a very empathetic, sensitive person, and that was always used against me. I was trained from an early age to stick up for my mom, but when I did, she would actually turn against me and with whoever I thought was being abusive to her. Right. Oh yeah, they turn right on you when you're trying to back them up because they're in a fight with someone, and what better way to get that person on their side than letting that person attack you for attacking her. Talk about a mind fuck. When I turned 18, I managed to move away. I was only gone 3 months and had to come back. Then I tried again when I was 23 and stayed gone. I ended up getting into a really bad relationship with a man who was very emotionally abusive. We had a long distance relationship at first for 2 years, then lived together for 9 months. I lost all self-esteem and gained a lot of weight. We broke up and got back together over and over. I don't know how many times it took, but finally one time I left and stayed gone. Later on, I discovered that he was a narcissist. Then I learned that this stems back to childhood. I suspected my mother. I didn't think about it for a long while. My mom came to stay with me at my apartment in another state. She tried to control me like I was a child all over again, telling me to come in. It was late when I was out with a friend. I was like, Mom, I'm 28 years old. This is my place. To keep the peace, I would just do what she said. Big mistake. I hate fighting. I got her a job, but she got into it with the trainer, and then went to human resources and they fired her. She tore up the paperwork they gave her and threw it at them. She riled me up and convinced me that they fired her because of me. I got so mad that I quit my job. Why would you believe that at 28 years old? Why? Then we were getting evicted. She would always guilt me into buying her things. Then she tried to yell at the apartment manager. I was like, Mom, this is my apartment. Let me handle this. I got another job and managed not to get evicted. She had a mental breakdown and was diagnosed with bipolar. She later told my sister that this was my fault because I ignored her. I worked and went, she's a borderline. This is all calculated. This is all calculated. Another bipolar diagnosis. That's actually BPD. I worked and went to church and did things. She was a grown woman. We did things together. I seen her every day, but I guess she wasn't getting enough attention. She decided to move back. I didn't stop her. I ended up leaving that church because it got too controlling. They wanted all my time, money, and work. But I did meet my husband there. The second church we left caused us marital problems and problems with my in-laws, but we made it out, thank God. I learned that narcissism is a lot like a cult. The narcissist is the one you worship instead of this prophet, but it's the same idea. Well, that's what I said. That's what I said. Religious narcissists are atheists. They just want you to worship them as their word is the word of God. Same thing. Which is why I had the same problems in the churches that I went to. The pastor and his wife hated me because they couldn't make me do things I wanted to. I didn't want to. I found myself always trying to prove my loyalty To my mom, ex-boyfriend, my pastor, it's got to be so draining. My husband and I decided to move back to the state where my family lives. I still hadn't realized or understood that my mom was a narcissist, or maybe a borderline. I think the way you talk about it sounds like she could be either. It's borderline. It's borderline. Without question, it's a borderline. I really don't know what the difference is yet. Borderlines, see, borderlines are more emotional. They're more overt in their tactics. They're gonna lash out. They're gonna have breakdowns. They're gonna be in your face. They're gonna be sexually promiscuous like your mother. Okay, all of that. A narcissist is more about control. They're more covert. Okay, a narcissist can be after sex and it can be a sex thing, but it's usually about money, control, other things. There's more histrionics involved with the borderline. A borderline's rage is out of control. A narcissist's rage is calculated and controlled rage. See, like my father is a narcissist. He doesn't just lose it. He loses it with a plan. His freakouts are all calculated. They're all thought out. He knows what he's going to say. He has these freakouts in his pocket to pull out when he needs them. A borderline, it's a switch hit and they're fucking gone. They're gone. I really don't know the difference yet. She's something toxic and abusive, though. We talked to my sister's boyfriend, and he said we could stay with him. He was supposed to have a trailer with power and water hooked up, and we would stay there. Didn't happen that way. I don't know what I was thinking when I agreed to this. I think I was sold on the fantasy of a family, the one I had convinced myself I had. When you move away for 20 years and grow up as a golden child before you leave, I guess you're prone to this delusional thinking. But what I hadn't considered is that while I was gone, my mom had given the golden child role to my sister. Anyway, my sister's boyfriend dictated everything we did there. 5-minute showers, she was off at the door, don't feed the dogs any treats. We had a list of chores to do. Feeding the donkeys, the chickens, and the birds, and the horses. Oh, it sounds like he just was looking for cheap help. Why would your sister marry anything different than anyone else in your family? We were supposed to do it in the morning and at night and get the mail and only park in a certain spot. And we couldn't get up and walk around until after 2 p.m. if we were in the house on Fridays. And we couldn't leave the sponge wet, blah, blah, blah. I guess we were servants, not guests. Yup. We bought groceries a couple times, cooked dinner a couple times, watched her kids for free. We offered to give her some money for rent, but she wouldn't take it. We were staying at, no, because then you'd have rights. When we were staying in the trailer, I had to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I had to get bundled up and put on my snow boots, walk up to the door, and go into the house and go to the bathroom. The trailer was parked beside the house. She complained that he complained that it was always 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm sorry, you locked me out. You locked me out one night. That was fun. I almost peed my pants. She told me, why don't you go pee in a bucket in the trailer? I guess I should have. I couldn't just stand there. I told my husband I'm not staying here another night. So after 2 months, we moved to my mother's. We stayed there for 3 weeks. My mom had given us her cash all the time. My husband was drinking at the time, and my mom is a recovering alcoholic. That caused fights. My husband got drunk one day and he fell asleep on the couch, and my mom was like, he looks uncomfortable. You should take off his clothes. I did. I put sweatpants on him. Later on, I realized how crazy this is, and my husband was embarrassed, and I felt so fucking dumb. Like, why couldn't I see how dumb and wrong this was? Yeah, that was weird. That's a weird thing to do in front of your mom. At Thanksgiving, my husband was having some drinks, and my mom told me to take the bottle away from him. I started to, because when my mom tells me to do things, it's like the kid inside me takes over. And out of habit, I'm back to being 8 years old all over again. It's something I do without even thinking. My husband got angry and told her, "Don't tell her to do that. I'm a grown man. If I want to have a drink, I will. And you don't listen to her. And you don't listen to her. You are my wife." Yeah, that shit stopped right away. She was so happy to get rid of us, she started bringing me all my stuff, basically kicking me out of her apartment. I wasn't like that with her. She got royal treatment at my apartment, so did my sister. But they let themselves in at my house, act like it's theirs. It's so twisted. Well, rules don't apply two ways. It's one way. It's a one-way relationship. Anyway, we were finally able to afford an apartment. It took us less than 3 months to get jobs, which they were supposed to have a job lined up for my husband, but the guy wanted him to work for free. License, registration, and save money, enough money to get on our feet. 2 months with my sister, 3 weeks with my mom. When my mother stayed with me for 3 months, took over my apartment. So screwed up. Anyway, lots of drama since then. My sister's boyfriend ran into our car and didn't stop to wait for us to see it. He just took off for work. Called her and told her to tell us he paid for the damages. It was Mother's Day, so I didn't want to ruin it for my mom, so I didn't make a big deal about it. But when we took it to the body guy, my sister refused to pay for it, saying we were trying to take advantage of them after all they had done for us, and they'd only paid for their guy to do it. This guy does it as a favor for her boyfriend, but he does shitty work. It was a new car to me and in good shape, and I didn't want some idiot to do a half-assed job, so I said no. I was so pissed that I didn't talk to her or my mom or my brother, because my mom would yell at me for giving my sister a hard time, even though it was her who didn't want to pay for the damage her boyfriend did to my car. I was the one giving them a hard time. Such bullshit. This is because my sister's boyfriend is a surgeon, and my sister gets prescription drugs for the family from him. Oh, how nice. Always. He has rooms of horse tranquilizers and big cameras everywhere in his house. People that do work for him get painkillers from him. He has people showing up at his gate and people he houses and shit like that. He acts like he's helping people, but in reality, he's doing favors and making them his slaves. He just tried to do with us, making us like his live-in service. So he has a bunch of drug addicts and makes do work around his property for free pills. Why aren't you reporting him? At my husband's company party, one of his coworkers said he knows that his private practice is where you walk in and walk out with drugs with no prescription. This is why my sister feels like she has to stay with this guy and why my mom approves of him. Anyway, my brother will do or say whatever my mom tells him to do, so I knew I had to cut them all off. They're a whole enmeshed family system. My brother is 35 years old and my mom uses the toilet when he's in the shower. Fucking of course. Of course. Of course. The borderline always has a son, husband, and is always sexual. They love that bathroom thing. They love that bathroom. No one has privacy. My sister wanted to come into the bathroom with me when we were at the restaurant, and I thought it was so strange of me to not let her. They don't know what normal is. They are my mom's puppets. Narcs see their kids as extensions of themselves. I was trying to do no contact with all of them. It lasted 3 months, then my mom showed up at my door. I was totally caught off guard and was answering on autopilot. I was doing Grey Rock without even knowing what Grey Rock was. I was just stunned and out of it. Her excuse was she wanted to help She wanted me to help her do something with her publishing her book. I didn't want to because she said in her book, she calls everyone out on their bullshit that ever did anything to her. She makes it clear she wants to rat out everyone on their cruel treatment of her. But then she swears it's a book that preaches the gospel. Talk about contradiction. Yeah, she's trying to write her own Bible. That's all she's doing. She's trying to write her own Bible for you all to worship. Talk about contradiction. She's a covert narc and she thrives on being the victim, making everyone else look like villains, which is why I don't want anything to do with her book. She's rewriting history and empathy to get attention and empathy and admiration, but she never owns up to the pain she's caused us. Anyway, I closed the door, she walked away, and I was okay. Then I was flooded with guilt because I had this picture of her walking away all sad, because never have I ever seen her do anything like that. This is just what I would have wanted to see. Anyway, I ran out of my apartment barefoot to catch up with her and got in her car and started talking to her. Oh my God. I caved, gave her and my sister and my brother my new number. I wish I would have never ran out to see her. Fast forward to now, I am again attempting no contact because I am sick of the guilt trips her attempts to control me, make me do things I don't want to do. I've been no contact for 1 month now. This time I know it's for good. I'm educating myself and reminding myself every day why I'm doing this and what she and my family has done to me, so I don't have another weak moment where I where I cave and go back. Realize she only came looking for you when she wanted something for you. When she wanted you to help her write her own Bible. So that's what the borderline does. They want to go and write their own Bible for the world to worship. And the number one sacrament is, the number one is commandment, thou shalt pity me. The first commandment in the Borderlines Bible is thou shalt pity me at all times. That's your mother. It's all you need to know. The first commandment, thou shalt pity me at all times. The thing that prompted this one was so small to the naked eye, but it's a big thing to me. My sister has 2 kids. Her and my mom always try to get me to be around. I want to be around them. They're great kids, but they use them to get my attention. My mom says she wants me to spend time with them, but what she really wants is for me to come over, feed them, do whatever she wants, me to do the work, feed them, me to do the work to feed them and watch them and clean up after them. Then, when you're all attached to them, she pulls them away to take them away from you. They reject me, and I never understood why until I caught my sister and her son joking about how I claim to be vegan but still eat meat. He's 14, the little girl is 6. I told her I don't always eat vegan. I am just trying to become vegan. She turned her kids against me. What she doesn't know is my mom is turning her kids against her too. It really hurts to see how these people will use kids to lure you in and then use them against you like human lives or weapons. Life is not a sacred thing. Like these kids don't have enough feelings and needs and wants. They're going to ruin these poor children. I don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. I see my mom treating her grandson the way she treated me when I was young, and I feel sorry for him. But I can't save them. I can't save my sister and brother either. You can't save your nephews, and you can't. They're just going to be, and I tell this to everybody, that they're going to be used against you. I tried to tell my brother, don't trust mom. He didn't get it. I tried to tell my sister. I told her I was the golden child and you were the black sheep. But now I'm the black sheep and you're the golden child. She thinks her boyfriend might be a narcissist, is convinced her ex-husband, the children's father, is a narcissist, but doesn't think my mom is. I don't care anymore. I can't save anyone but myself. Exactly. Every day I remember something that happened in the past that makes more sense. Like in college, my mom took a class with me, competed with me, got an A and I got a B, and she rubbed it in my face. She has my friends on as her Facebook friends. I deleted mine because she creates so much drama. How one by one my friends would quit talking to me, I'm sure because of something she said to them. Well, they were never your friends to begin with. She's doing you a favor. One time at a fast food drive-through, this guy was flirting with me, and my mom thought he was flirting with her and got all giddy. This is borderline. This is all borderline. He just went along with it to not make her feel bad. So stupid. She would use men to get what she wanted. She slept with her friend's husband and then told me and my brother about it when I was 15 and he was 11. She sent me to babysit. Oh, you're wondering what she was doing on the computer all that time, right? She sent me to babysit for her friends who partied and did drugs, and a guy at this flop house molested me when I was 16. And my dumbass mom, after I told her, sent me back there, and another guy tried to do it. Fucking stupid. And I always thought I could trust my mom. How stupid was I? I'm not going to be mad at myself. I'm always accused of being naive. I just always gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. From now on, I'm going to talk myself out of trusting my gut anymore. Oh, wait, no. From now on, I'm not going to talk myself out of trusting my gut anymore. I'm not going to gaslight myself. She convinced me when we were working in the community college together that I was sexually harassed. She convinced me to report it by sending an email to the vice president of the college. Yeah, that fell apart and she was nowhere around to help me pick up the pieces. She just wanted to see the place I loved go to shit. One time I got date raped and told her about it. I confided in her. She told my brother and he slut shames me. I told her I was experimenting with women because she was doing it and open about it with us. Like, this is just sick. Like, not you, but your mother. And she told my brother who came out of her room, and she told my brother who came out of her room so hot out of nowhere started verbally abusing me. I had no idea where he got all this anger from, but she was in her room silent, acting like she didn't know what was happening outside her door. This fucking bitch. So it's okay for her, but not for me. Mom's not a slut, but I am for doing the exact same thing. That hurts so much. I love my brother so much. Now I see he was just another tool for her to hurt me, and for no reason, just so she could sit back and laugh. When I brought my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, home to meet the family at Christmas, my brother was making fun of the way my grandma talked, and I probably should have minded my own business, but I don't allow anyone to get picked on around me. I guess because I had been so traumatized by it. So I made fun of the way he talked. I knew this would start a fight I knew this would start a fight, but I'd rather get picked on than my grandma. I don't know why. Let me give you the details so you can see this. He said to grandma, oral the rough, because that's how she pronounces oral, all the rough, because that's how she pronounces oil and roof. Okay, I told him, okay, spaghetti, or hangaba, hamburger. This was lightly funny playing, at least I thought. Then he comes back. Oh, well, did you tell your boyfriend used to be gay? Does he know that? I froze and could feel my face turning red. I said, yes, he knows everything. Then I wanted to call him out and say, at least I don't have herpes, but I didn't, because I knew that would hurt him as bad as I felt hurt, and I didn't want him to hurt like that. even though he couldn't give a fuck about hurting me. So instead I said, I know a lot of ugly things about you too, and I'm not going to say them because I'm better than you. He was in front of my aunt, uncle, cousins, sisters, boyfriends, my sister's brother-in-law, all these people. That was the end of it. But what an ugly first impression from my husband. That was the same trip we went out to eat, and my brother tried to introduce me to his friend, told me to talk to him. I was like, I have a boyfriend. My husband was pretty pissed about this. He told me that this guy I used to talk to in high school wanted to talk to me. It's like he wanted me to cheat on my boyfriend so he could feel better about himself. Stupid. Yeah, because he's doing your mother's bidding. That's the second commandment. Thou shalt do the narcissist's bidding. Okay? I just don't give a fuck anymore. Who needs a family that makes you feel like a piece of shit? I'd rather be alone and feel good and have peace. But they're family. No, God, my husband, my dog, and me. That's my family. Those people I used to live with are just that. People I knew, people I lived with. People who tried to destroy me, but I wouldn't let them. Now they're left to destroy themselves. I am free to live my life and be happy. 1 month in, and things are becoming a lot more clearer. I have to work on myself. Not everything that happened to me is their fault. I take responsibility for my involvement. I repent for every hurtful thing I did and said, even if it was in self-defense. I have a lot of narc traits and I cannot stand and make me sick. But instead of shaming myself, I'm loving myself through it, trying to recognize these unhealthy habits, attitudes, and reactions. Spotting my emotional dysregulation and trying to pinpoint my triggers. I'm trying to figure out what parts of my behavior need modifying and what wrong beliefs I hold that lead to these behaviors. I'm trying to teach myself not to fight dirty. Fight dirty when you have to. My husband is kind and patient enough to call me on it when he sees it and to understand and forgive me. Funny thing is, since I stopped with my family, my marriage has never been so peaceful and enjoying. We quit smoking and drinking, and we're talking through our problems and not letting people get in between us. I'm looking forward to healing. I'm focusing now on working through my family plans so as to not take it out on my husband. He is good and deserves my best because he's giving me his best. I'm working through the pain and praying and studying and journaling a lot. I was hoping to ask you to share with us the things you worked for to heal and be better when you walked away from your family. What helped you the most? What helped me the most was being away. Nothing's going to help you more than no contact, period. After a month, and it's a little long because I got this like 2 months ago. After 3 months of no contact, okay, after 3 months of no contact, the more no contact you go, the better you're going to be. Every day, you're going to have to work through yourself, okay, and remind yourself that they did this. That they did this. And that you can't talk to them again. You can't talk to your mother again. You can't acknowledge. You can't engage because you're just going to get yourself suckered right back into it again. Also, I think I might dissociate at times because I have freeze frame moments that I know are connected with trauma that I can't access. I feel confused and get distracted a lot. It's going to happen. It's a lot of self-reflection and a lot of zone out moments where you're taken back. And that's important. That has to happen because you're going to have to remember things as they actually happened. Not the image your mother and your family put in your head. I feel confused a lot and get distracted a lot. I feel a lot of opposing feelings, a lot at one time. I don't know if it's emotional dysregulation or dissociation. Do you have any experience with any of that or any advice? Thanks for all you do. God bless. Sarah Jane. Look, in the early stages of no contact, you're going to have a lot of that. That's you working out your experiences. That is your subconscious pushing things to the front for you to sort out. Say, hey, this is fucking you up. You got to deal with this. You got to go back and you got to remember it now with the clarity of no contact and see it for what it actually is. That's important that that happens. That needs to happen. You need to recognize it. Don't feel bad about it. And you work through your issue. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to get, and the easier no contact is going to be. And the longer you go no contact like that, the longer you're going to realize going no contact is the only way. Because your mother's a borderline, and the borderline wants to rewrite the Bible. And the first commandment is thou shalt pity me at all times. The second commandment is, thou shalt do my bidding at all times. Remember that, and you'll be all right. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and story, Sarah Jane. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care, everyone.